Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering schedule and dispatch basics. This webinar will cover a schedule page overview and schedule settings to set up before you start scheduling, then how to schedule an appointment, how to use the work queue, and we'll look at appointment status updates and visuals, callbacks and follow-ups, how to update, cancel, or reschedule appointments, and then some personalized calendar view options that you can choose. We will end with a live Q&A where you can ask your questions and get those answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. When you first log in to WEX FSM, you will see the schedule page. This is the main page that you will use for scheduling appointments. And at first glance, just as an overview here, you've got your actual calendars. We call this the dispatch board. And this is where your real appointments with your customers are going to go. On the left, we have the work queue, and these are draft appointments that are not quite ready yet to go onto the dispatch board. Now, the dispatch groups, if you see here, it says dispatch group. Click on that and you'll see a drop down. And these are different groups that you can create. And I will show you how to make a dispatch group. But basically, I have a group for all of my users so I can see my entire team's schedule at a glance. But then I also just want to see what are my field technicians doing out in the field. So I have a group for that. And maybe I have an HVAC side of the business, but also a plumbing side of the business, and I can separate those out. So dispatch groups comes in very handy for organizing your team into different groups. Now, in order for you to have users on the dispatch board, they do need to be added into your system. So we're going to go over next some settings that I recommend setting up to make sure that scheduling is happening very easily and seamlessly for you. The very first one is to add users. You have to have users to add them and assign them to appointments. So to add a user, you will go to Settings in the top right, User Management, Users. This will be your user page. This will have all of the users that, well, if you're brand new, you probably just have one user in here, the person who signed up. If you've been using this for a while, or maybe you're new at the company, but your company has been using this software for a while, you'll have many users here. To add a user, you will click Add User in the top right, fill out the information, and then click Save. Now, I already have an example of this. We're going to just cancel that real quick. And we're going to look at Dustin Bailey just to give you an idea of how you might want to set up your users that are going to run appointments. So I'm clicking on Dustin. He is a field technician of mine. And everything here is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to give you a few tips. When you add your user, number one, they need to have an email address, which is going to act as their username, and a password. This email address and password is what you will send to that user so they can log in and use WEX FSM. When you are scheduling, you need to add users to a dispatch group in order for them to show up on the schedule page. So when you're adding a user, it says assign user to dispatch group. Click into here and select which group you would like them to be part of. If this is empty, if they have not been assigned to a dispatch group, they will not show up on the schedule page and you won't be able to schedule for them. So make sure you add your users that you want to schedule to a dispatch group. And then in terms of permissions, when a technician, let's say, gets out into the field and they are running an appointment you've scheduled for them, what visibility of appointments do you want them to see? You can set that here. All appointments, for example, will show them all of their appointments and all appointments from anyone else on the team. That's great for collaboration. If you want them to just see the appointments for themselves, set it to all appointments for me. And then once you have their permissions set, you'll click Save. That will add them as a user. And as long as you have assigned them to a dispatch group, they will show up on the dispatch board here. Great segue into how do you create and manage dispatch groups. To do this, you will go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. From here, you will be brought to the dispatch groups admin page. This will have, if you're brand new, you've just signed up, this most likely has one group and it will say example dispatch group. I would highly recommend editing that to make it your own by clicking the three dots and hit edit group. Change the group name, set the technicians that you would like to add to the group or the users, and click Save. Or you can delete that example dispatch group by clicking those three dots and hit Delete. And then you can create your own groups by clicking Add Dispatch Group in the top right. Enter in the group name. Just remember, this is what you will see on the dispatch board on the schedule page. So name it something recognizable like field technicians. Select who you want in here and hit save. Now, as a pro tip, me personally, I like having my groups in a very specific order. So I just added a number in the title, in the name. So if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are only here in this order because I have added a number to the title. Otherwise, it's just going to put it in alphabetical order. So that's up to you if you want to do that. That's just a personal thing that I do to keep these in the order that I want them. Once you have your dispatch groups added here and your users added to each group, you'll be able to go back to the schedule page and click the drop down for dispatch group to then select and toggle between those different groups. All right. The next setting I recommend setting up before you start scheduling appointments is setting up your job types. To do this, you will go to Settings, Jobs, Job Types. Now, job types are great for reporting. And when you create an appointment, that will create a job. So as you're creating appointments, you're creating jobs, and it will require that you are setting the type of job it is. So if you're new, you may have just some generic job types here, and maybe those work great for what you need. Otherwise, I recommend you at least come to this page and check to make sure that the job types are the types of jobs that you do, or add your own job types by clicking Add New Job Type. And this is really just asking what kind of jobs do you do and what kind of jobs do you want to track in reporting. For example, I have an install job type. Every single install that I do in my system that I'm making appointments for on the schedule page, I'm going to set them as install jobs. And then same for maintenance jobs, same for commercial jobs, same for service jobs. So now I'm setting what type of jobs all of these appointments are. 6 months from now, I can go into my reporting and toggle and filter by job type. So I could say, how much revenue did my company make from installs last month? And you'll be able to determine that very easily because you have been setting your job types. So come here, set your job types. And then when we go to schedule, which is what we're going to do next, you'll see where job types comes into play. Okay, so those are the three main things I recommend doing before you even start scheduling. Number one, add your users and set their permissions. Number two, set your dispatch groups. And number three, set your job types. Once you have that foundation, scheduling is a breeze. So let's go ahead and see that in action. We are going to now schedule an appointment together. On the schedule page, under the dispatch board, you can get back to the schedule page just by clicking schedule in the main navigation. There's two main ways that you can create an appointment. Number one, click new. This red button that says new, that will start a new appointment from scratch. Number two, the second way, if you already know the date, the time, and the technician, it will pre-populate that information when you go to schedule. So you can kind of save yourself a little bit of time. So let's say that I want to schedule an appointment for 3 p.m. with myself. I will go ahead and click on the 3 p.m. time slot, and we'll see where that comes into play in just a minute. Now we're creating an appointment. You have customer appointment selected. This is when you would search for your customer. So let's say I now want to do a job with my customer, Justin Hernandez. If they are in your customer list, you will see them pop up here. If they're not in your list, you won't see them, and you can just click to add a new user with the red plus button here. We already have Justin though, so we'll go ahead and select Justin. And then starting at the top, we have the customer information. Then you have job location. This is great if there are multiple locations. So if I click this drop down, we can see that Justin has four rental properties, his home, some other addresses, and these are all pulling from his customer page. If you need to make any edits to any of this information, you don't have to go out to their customer profile. You can just make edits right from here. For example, let's say that Justin got a new rental property that we need to go out to, and we're on the phone creating the appointment right now. I will just click the edit button here. And now I can add an address with the plus button. I can edit any addresses that are here. Once I do that, I'll just click back to appointment and we're ready to go. And we never had to leave the appointment modal. Job. This part is very important. Exclamation point, gold star. This right here, this is how you're going to organize your jobs. So right now, this is saying when I hit schedule, this is going to create a new job folder and put this appointment in that job folder. If this is a callback, however, like a second visit to a previous job, I don't want to make a new job. I'm going to want to organize this into that previous job that this relates to. To do that, you just click the drop down, select the previous job. Maybe this is me going back to an AC cleaning I had to do last week. And now this second appointment will be saved in the right place, in the proper job folder. For today's example, we're going to do a new job. which will create a new job folder. Job name is giving this job a nickname, so later you can determine what this job is at first glance. So let's say that this is a service call. Now, when I go and look, I won't have to guess. Is this an install? Is this a maintenance? No, this is a service because it'll say the job number dash the job name, service call. And then job type, we talked about this. So service call, let's say we want to go ahead and set this as a service job type. And then now we're into scheduling. Schedule now means that we need a date, a time, and a technician for this to go on to our dispatch board. And if you notice, this is already pre-filled out. So this is saving a little time because we clicked on the schedule itself. So we have our date, we have our time, we have our technician. If you want to add an additional technician to this job, you just click additional tech, select who it is, and now when you schedule this, it'll put this appointment on everyone's calendar who is included here. If you want to remove an additional tech, there's a little X next to their name. Just click that X and it will remove them. If there are any notes, reminders, gate codes, don't let the cats out. The unit is in a weird place to find. Whatever notes you think this technician will need, you put those here. These are not customer facing, so if you need to complain about a grumpy old man, that's okay. It's just a communication between you and your techs. So notes go here. And then finally, appointment notifications and reminders. Scheduled, if this is turned on, when I hit schedule, this will send a confirmation out to the customer letting them know the appointment has been scheduled. You can turn on weekly or 1 week prior, 1 day prior reminders to go out automatically to remind the customer about the appointment. And en route, when this is on, this will allow your technician to send an on my way message to your customer. So I'm sitting in the truck as the technician, you've assigned this to me, en route is turned on. I click on my way, message goes out to the customer, letting them know we're on the way. All right, so we have all of the basics here. We are going to now schedule this appointment by clicking schedule. This now will schedule the appointment, and we will see that reflected on the dispatch board here. If you notice the different colors, so some of these are red, purple, green, the colors come from the job type. So when you are on your job type page, which I'll just show you quickly, you can see the colors are set here. That way, when I'm on the schedule, I can instantly know, oh, this one is a service, this one's maintenance, this one is install, because I know the colors. All right, so now that we have the appointment scheduled, let's talk about draft appointments and using the work queue. Sometimes there will be scenarios where you want to get a reminder and details about a job, but you're not sure the date you're going to go out or the time or the technician. There's some missing information before you can actively schedule it. And that's what the work queue is for. The work queue will have two different types of items. One are called service requests. A service request means I'm not sure the date or the time or the technician. There's a lot of information missing, but maybe I just want to get this up somewhere so I can remember. If you're the kind of person who has sticky notes all over your desk to remind you of things, this could alleviate some of that. Each of these, think of them as a sticky note with a reminder of what this job needs. And then when it's time to schedule, I can just click and drag it onto the board, let go, and it's scheduled. Save you some time there from having to remember what it is and build it from scratch every time. Unassigned appointments are a little different. Unassigned means I know the date and the time. I'm just not sure which of my technicians are going to go run that job just yet. And so these will have a date and a time. You can drag and drop these as well as needed. But if it's different than the date and time that's selected, it's now going to open up the editor and have you choose that this is a new date and time from the original. So typically with the undersigns, you want to reference the date and time that was originally set and schedule it then. All right. So that is the work queue in a nutshell. And now let's talk about appointment status updates and visuals. It's really nice to know what's going on out in the field. If you're working in the office, there's some hustle and bustle. People are calling you, you're ordering parts, there's a lot going on in the office. And it's nice when you can just look at your calendar and see what's going on and know where each technician is at in their job process. These have visual indicators, and let's take a look. I can see that Dustin has not started this job yet because there's no visual indicator. It's just an appointment. However, I can see that Caleb is on the way to the job. So once that technician hits on my way, let's say from the mobile app, moving dotted lines will start. So I can see Caleb is on the way because of these moving dotted lines. When Caleb gets to the job, he will hit at job, and that will stop those moving dotted lines. So I can see that Bruce is at the job doing the work. We have the dotted outline. Once a job is marked as complete, we can see this is now a completed job because it is gray. And those are the indicators. So I know Caleb's on the way, Bruce is there working, Dustin's a little late, and I have completed this one. If someone misses a appointment, it will be like a lower opacity. So if you notice this red, these are supposed to be the same color, but Dustin has not clocked in and has not changed the status, but it's way past the time. So this appointment has been missed. So if you notice that something was missed, I probably need to reach out to Dustin and be like, what's going on? Are you actually missing these appointments and we have angry customers now? Or did you do the work, you just forgot to clock in and update the status? But all of that information you can see at a glance from the schedule page here. Okay, next, let's talk and dive a little deeper into callbacks and follow-ups. You know, most of your jobs, you're going out, you're doing the job, you take payment, job's done. Very simple. Some jobs do require a follow-up. Maybe you need to order a part and you can't finish the job until that part comes in and you install it. We have something called flags in the system. So a flag for follow-up is a great tool to help you remember follow-ups. Now, if you look in the top part of your site, kind of top right, there is a button that says flags and it says 17. This is telling me that I have 17 jobs with a flag on them. And to get to your flags, you can click on flags right here, and that will take you to the job list and toggle show flagged jobs only. So now I can see all of my flags in my system. And let's just jump into this job so we can see how to add a flag and what that looks like. So I am going to remove this flag very quick here. Okay. Once you're on a job, any job that you have will create a job page like this. So we can see this is job 15139. It's a service call for our customer, Justin. And let's say my technician's out there, doesn't have the part that they need. They're going to need to order a part, and we need a way to remember that. So, whether you're out in the field on the mobile app or from the desktop, which is what we're seeing here, click Flag for Follow-up to add a flag to this job. You can make any flag for follow-up types that you want. Just click Add New Follow-up Type. But we do have some examples here: billing, equipment order, a follow-up visit, part order, quality check, sales estimate, etc. For today's example, we need to order a part. So we're going to do part order. And I like putting the date in the notes. So today is the 5th. And, part ordered will be here Monday. And then save. This added a flag to this job. This now is included in the flagged jobs list, and you will be able to click on flags to go see that flag, or you can go right to the job and edit and update the flag from the job level. Let's say that this part comes in, and now I can just come into here. Here, let's see, what is Monday? Monday would be the 11th. So let's say on the 11th, part came in and was installed, job complete. And now you can mark that flag complete and click save. What's nice too is no matter who's updating the flags, you can always see the last time this flag was updated and which user did the update. Once a flag is marked as complete, the flag is then removed from the job, and it's also removed from the flag for follow-up job list here. What's nice about the job list is that you can do all of your editing of flags in bulk. So we just did it on the job page individually. So you could technically just go to each job and update flags that way. But if you have a lot of flags, it's nice to just be on one page and kind of knock them out one by one, look at them, make your edits and updates as needed, etc. Okay. And so that is job flags. Next, let's take a look at, oh, yes. So we're going to go back to the schedule page. And what happens if a customer needs to update their time? I can't do it today, but what about tomorrow at 3 p.m.? Or, rescheduling or even just canceling. We're no longer going to do this. Maybe we'll have you come back in a month or two. To cancel, unschedule, or delete an appointment, you will click on the appointment to get into the edit mode. And at the very bottom left, it says cancel unschedule. So we're going to click. And there's three options. Unschedule will take it off the dispatch board and put it back in the work queue. And then you can just drag and drop, reschedule it again in the future. Cancel is going to cancel it completely, but still show a historical record that it existed at one time. That will be on the customer page in their history. Delete, maybe you made this in error, you accidentally made two of the same one, you just need to delete it completely. This will delete it permanently, and there will be no record of the appointment. And any adjustments that you make here, you have the option to send a confirmation to your customer for cancellation. All right. And then the final topic for today is calendar view options. So right now, this is how I like this to look for myself, but maybe you want to change a couple things here. So you can, if you have a lot of appointments on the board, let's say, there's 50 appointments on here, it can get overwhelming. So you can click next to the calendar view, you can click a list view and see all your appointments for the day in a list view. See the statuses, tags, which technician, etc. You also have a map view. So this will show you your area. So I'm in Charlotte. And then this allows me to see where my technicians are. If I click on the icon for the technician, it'll show me who it is. So here's Bruce. Here's where his next job is. Here's the directions to get there. Uh, Now, this is location service based. So if the technician's phone has location services turned on for the WEX FSM mobile app, even if you close the app, we'll still be able to see where that technician is. But if location services, those permissions are turned off, then if they close out of the app, you won't be able to see them. So that is something important. If you do want to see your technicians all day, make sure that location services are turned on in your settings. And that is a phone device setting uh, action. Next, we have a legend. So if you click on legend, this will just give you, this is good, especially for newer users. This just tells you a definition of what certain things mean. So you can familiarize yourself with those icons. Let's go back to our calendar view. If you want, you can hide the work queue. Maybe you don't really use the work queue. You can hide that and show that with this button here. If you want to see more of the calendar, you can click the full screen icon. So this will, make this a lot bigger for you. You can switch between horizontal and vertical view. Right now we're in a horizontal view, but maybe you like your Google Calendar and you want this to look similar to that. Now time is going down the page versus across the page. And then you can update these intervals from 30 to 60 minutes. And that's just, if you only ever schedule 1 hour events, maybe you just want it at 60. But if you do start 30 minutes into an hour or you're scheduling 30-minute time blocks, you'll want to have 30 selected. In the schedule, or sorry, in the horizontal view, you are able to click and drag and move your, like organize your users however you want. You cannot do that in the vertical view, however. So if you do want to change the order in the horizontal view, and then that will reflect when you go to the vertical view. And then we have daily view, which shows you one day at a time. Weekly view will show you your entire week at a glance. And monthly view shows you the entire month. I like daily view. I like it horizontal, get the work queue in there, and all even with the edges. So this is my personal preference, but you set it to however you want. Once you click on a user under the users section, though, if I click on this user, this will also show me the map, the zones that they're in, the planned route, and the actual route. What's nice too is, you've got a planned route from GPS. Your technician will drive out to the job and it will track that route and show you if they stayed on track or, did they go to the gas station for 2 hours. So you can kind of have checks and balances there of where your team's actually driving with the red dots. Okay, that is all the information we have for today's presentation. I hope that you learned something. We're going to move to our Q&A now. So if you do have any questions, start putting those in the chat. But before we do that, I do just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Schedule and Dispatch Basics.